was a lawmaker who met with Nielsen's replacement on Monday and toured the border with the president last week. Republican Congressman Chuck Fleischman is the ranking member of the House Appropriations Homeland Security Subcommittee. Sir, thank you for joining us. What did you learn in that meeting we just talked about?
Well, Kevin has come to the table with a tremendous amount of experience. He was actually on Air Force One with the president and myself and Leader McCarthy. Obviously, the president has tremendous confidence in Mr. McAleenan, but it was a good bipartisan meeting the other day. We sat down, Republicans and Democrats. He was very forthright. He's very competent. I think he's going to do a great job.
McAleenan is the one that was making the briefings. I mean, recently when they came out and they talked about how the numbers had gone up so much, that was when we first noticed they kind of put him out front. So if you think back to that, you can see where the thinking was going. How do you think his approach is going to be different from Secretary Nielsen's?
It's hard to say. The thing that President Trump has said from the beginning, and he said it today, is President Trump is going to be driving the agenda. And I think that's a good thing. So I think Kevin will be very solicitous of the president's thoughts and wishes and will act on his orders. So I think he will carry out the administration's policy. As far as Congress is concerned, and I'm an appropriator, the ranking member on the Homeland Security Subcommittee, the highest Republican, I want to make sure that the resources are available so that Kevin can do the job, so the administration can do the job, and that we can finally secure the border for the American people.
So, sir, a lot of how we're understanding the problem now don't necessarily have to do with resources. I mean, I know that's a huge issue, but it has more to do with legislation and the idea that the demographics have changed so drastically in terms of who is trying to cross the border, that it used to be single men coming from Mexico that were looking for work. All of a sudden, we're looking at huge groups that are coming from non-contiguous countries that are further down in Central and South America, and that the laws in place right now don't really have that thinking when they were made. It seems like the job's up to you guys to at least sit down and what if you just address that piece? Just write law about this group of people coming up and guidelines for how border security should deal with them. Why not do that?
Well, I think it's an all-of-the-above problem. Obviously, resources is only one part of the solution, but you allude to a lot that's correct. First of all, we have some very flawed legal decisions that are really causing a lot of problems. In addition to that, we've experienced over 100 caravans this year. Some days there's over 4,000 people coming to the border. This is a crisis with a capital C. It needs to be addressed. And I urge my Democratic friends in the House to come and visit the border and work with us, not work against this president or against the Republicans in Congress, but to sit down and realize that it's truly a crisis of a tremendous magnitude and proportion. We need to address it. There are a lot of facets to this, and we all have to sit down and get it done.
Sir, with respect, I mean, most people are pointing their fingers at Congress and saying that it's up to you guys to both write laws and also send the funding down, and that you should be sitting down every day with each other and trying to solve this. Is there any movement towards that? Are there any Republicans that are writing legislation? Are you making phone calls and asking the Democrats to come over for lunch and you know, like a working lunch or something?
Well, on the Appropriations Committee, as opposed to other committees, Republicans and Democrats can work together better. On authorizing committees, there's some differences. Unfortunately, the Democrats are controlling the House. That's one of the big problems right now. Fortunately, the Republicans control the Senate, and the Senate Republicans get it. They understand that. Mitch McConnell understands the problem. The president understands the problem. Unfortunately, the Democratic leadership in the House does not either understand the problem or does not want to address it. I think it's up to the American people to force us to sit down and solve this crisis.
All right. Congressman Fleischman, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time, sir.